Hello, everybody. Or I guess hello, Jake and Sarah. Uh-oh. That's not a good look. I don't like it. I don't know why that's happening, but I'm not a fan of that happening at all. Why? Technology is terrible when it doesn't work, and it's not working. What if I reload? Am I here? Oh, I've been here the whole time? It's just my thing that's frozen? Wow. All right. Well, I apologize for singing to everybody for the last minute or so. Levels are really low today. You guys can hear me okay? Braden J. Kamak. Going full name. I love it. Okay. All right. So it looks like I'm tempting fate right now with my stream, even though my connection says it's healthy and everything is good and golden on my end. My God, where'd everyone go? Where's everyone leaving? We're down to nobody. Please come back. Sarah, you overslept until 1 o'clock in the afternoon? Holy smokes. All right, gang. Yeah, the stream is buffering a lot. I see that. It shouldn't be happening. But I'm going to try and just press on while I've got it in a good space right now. Ryan's here. Hello. So I'm gonna move. I guess quick, but I'm gonna check frequently. So if my screen is kind of bouncing around a little bit, it's because I just want to make sure that we're not dropping anything and that all the information is getting out to you all. So, um, pardon. Up until 4 a.m. Jeez, crazy time. All right. Well, actually, let's use that as a launching point because here's what I wanted to talk about today before we get into some light coverage about things for your next assignment. And part of that is just kind of doing like a little PSA, little public service announcement to make sure that you guys are staying on top of your stuff, not just for my class, but all your classes. And I have no way of knowing outside of the group of teachers that I talk to what kind of things they're assigning. So I know everyone's workload the last 2 weeks has been really different and sometimes difficult. It's going to vary person to person. Um, I'm hoping that I've mixed it up enough for you and have given you enough time on stuff where I'm not the class that's overburdening. But what I guess I wanted to get to and say was you guys are going to start to figure out as this. If you didn't hear yesterday, of course we're extending online stuff through the end of spring break, and then we're going to reassess. I'm going to work on the presumption that we're going to go a little bit longer, and if that's the case, I want to be prepared for it. But I'm hoping you guys over the last 2 weeks have started to figure out what it takes to kind of succeed and do well in this online environment. And so I'm hoping that you've been smart in staying on top of your work. All right, as it's easy to get behind, especially when the allure of things to do around the house are around you all the time. And it's part of the reason why I've tried to stick to having a weekly or a daily stream with you folks is just to help like get that consistency and schedule. I think that's really important. So That being said, the assignment that I'm going to give you guys today is going to be what I've just kind of coined as the last big hurdle before we get in the spring break. Um, and so it falls in line with just, all right, this is what's coming, and I'm hoping that you guys can look ahead over the course of the next few classes you have online to find time in your schedule to make this work. Right? No one's out there saying, hey, if Sarah's up till 4 a.m. because she's a night owl and from midnight to 4 a.m. is when she gets all her homework done, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like you can certainly manage that, but like make sure you're being healthy and active and stuff too. Like you need to go about this your way. And so find what works for you and try and stick with it. Devise a schedule. If you're sitting down to do work, really sit down to do work. Don't multitask. Put the phone away. If you're done at 1, stay at the computer for an extra hour or two. I promise you, if you take from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock to just look at the assignments that you have to do and start to chip away at them, you will find that at that extra hour and a half, 2 hours a day, you will get stuff done so quickly. And if you think about it, you're still done at 3. That gives you the rest of the evening to take care of all the fun stuff that you want to take care of. All right, that's my my little PSA on the day. In some news as far as itinerary for what our time before break is going to look like, what I'm hoping for today is the assignment I'm giving will kind of put a bow on all our broadcast journalism content. Now, it doesn't mean that if we get back to school, we're not going to pick up where we left off, because I would like to get the groups that didn't go in the studio to go in the studio. But we're going to be shifting focus soon online. And so part of this project is to give a little time to develop some things. I've officially submitted a request for some editing, not even software, but an editing platform you guys will be able to use at home on your phones, on your Chromebooks. It's web-based, which is really, really cool, and it integrates well with Google Classroom and Google Drive. And so what your ingestion may look like is, you might shoot some clips on your phone, and from your phone, upload those to Drive, and then from Drive on your Chromebook, bring those into this editing platform where you can do some simple timeline editing, which would be... Pause, but we're back. No data, stream is healthy. Okay. Jeez. Networks are going down left and right. Oh, wow, a lot of outages. Okay. I don't know if you guys hit the outages yesterday with Google Classroom and YouTube, but they went down for a short while. And so I've been checking pretty consistently to make sure that we're still going to be good. But anyway, that stuff's coming in the pipeline, and I'm excited about it. So hopefully I'll get those things in my hands early next week so I can figure out how to use them, so I can teach you how to use them. And then we'll kind of pick that up when we're back after break. And if we don't end up needing them, that's okay. I'd rather have those pieces in place just in case. All right, so where that puts us today, as I'm checking Down Detector on YouTube here, no problems as of yet. That's good. Okay, where that puts us for today is... Jess, you're distracting me, but thank you. This is my Once on This Island shirt I bought after seeing the play on Broadway. The bow on our broadcast journalism unit, all right, is going to involve you guys watching a film and then answering some questions on that, and then it's going to culminate in an online discussion just about that film, thoughts, feelings, things like that, before we head into spring break. And so I got a couple asks, all right, a couple things that on top of like the work that's going out, a couple asks that I'm going to need from you, and I know that you'll be able to handle this, all right, is that the content of this film is going to be a little bit more mature, all right, than maybe things you're accustomed to watching or seeing, or even just talking about like day to day. And I understand that, and I know that, and that's one of the challenges in this film. So I'm going to go bounce over here in a sec. Okay. Chris, yes, you are. As of now, spring break is still intact. So the film that I'm going to ask for you guys to watch, all right, and it will be up on Classroom. The post is going to go live any minute now. I'm just going to ask that when it does, resist the urge to bounce over to it. All right, I'm going to go through it and make sure that we're all on the same page, but there's just some things I want to go over with you to make sure that are clarified. So, bounce over to my desktop. Okay. Our film Spotlight is a movie that came out in 2015. All right, so it's a little bit more recent than the episode of Sports Night I had you guys watch. And the film deals with a team of investigative journalists that are reporting on a story about sexual abuse scandals in the Catholic Church. And so just based on that statement alone, it should give you an idea or context of the mature subject material that the film discusses. I will say as a disclaimer that there are no gratuitous sex scenes, in this film. There's nothing like that that's going to make you want to look the other way. They do discuss some things. They do interview some victims, and they're just very blunt in things that have happened. And I think being exposed to that in some capacity, even in a fictional capacity, is pretty representative of what real victims go through. And the story itself is based on true events that took place in 2001. All right. These are writers that work for the Boston Globe. And, you can Google any one of these characters that you'll see in the film, and you'll get their real life history and story and what happened to them, like from the years after the film took place and all that. And so in that sense, it's very grounded and very real. And it won a Best Picture. It won Academy Award for Best Picture in 2015. So I didn't want to pick something that wasn't critically acclaimed, but this just works on so many levels for what we're going into, as long as we can kind of go into it knowing that we need that maturity to rise to the occasion a little bit. All right. So like I said, the premise is based on true events, on real people, and actual reports. All right. But I'm trusting you with that subject matter to handle it responsibly and maturely as possible. And I know you will, because I know you guys will rise to that occasion, because you have all year. All right. And so this story the movie is going to follow the team that brought this story to light. And so you'll get to see a little bit about the behind the scenes workings of, the reporting, how the newspaper itself manages itself, all right, with their hierarchy of editors and reporters, with the legal team. There's a lot of layers there that I think are really important. And of course, you'll get to see how there are outside influences that try and, skew the moral and ethical ramifications to work in their favor. All right. I'm going to move through some key terms that I think are good to know going into the film, just so you're not in the dark with some of that stuff. I'm just going to bounce back to the chat real quick to see if anyone has any questions right now. Dog plans are awesome. If I had a dog, I'd have plans every day. Gaming Spartan 1. Don't know who you are, but as of right now, we are out through the end of spring break, and then they're going to reassess and let us know when we're going back after that. Chris, if you talk to your table, that's cool. I would talk with chairs, because there's more of them. You get to hang out with a group of people. Well, a group of chairs. I would love to get a dog. I would. But I'm never home, well, until now. So it kind of makes it hard if I'm in the building till all hours of the night. You're at your lake house. That's not good. You were told not to do that. Okay. All right. I'm going to bounce back and get into some terms real quick. All right. So some of the key things I want you to know. These are some of there's some religious stuff here, and then the next page will be a few legal things. Right, investigative journalism. I want you to know as a general thing because what we've been doing in class and even in our last assignment has been more journalistic reporting, right? Either we're looking up information from sources and then rewording that for broadcast to report it live. But that's also akin to going on location and reporting like at the scene of a crime as information's coming in. That's a different style. So the film focuses on investigative journalism, which is way more in depth. All right, it's going to require a ton of research, usually contact and conversations with multiple sources over an extended period of time. And so you'll even hear referenced in the film, this team will tend to do journalism investigatively over the course of several months to put together one story. And it will come into question towards the end of the film why that's a good thing and why that's a bad thing. And I think you'll see that dilemma kind of pop up as to there are some people that want to rush the story out, and there are other people that are lobbying that it's not ready yet and they need more information. But typically, these stories are going to focus around things that involve corruption, serious crimes like treason, or in this case, sexual abuse, cover-ups, which is also part of what happens in the film. Shady business practices, things like that. That require a little bit more in-depth reporting because they're bringing things to light, and they need to make sure they do so, in the correct way and the safe way and all that other stuff. I'll get back to cardinal law in a second. I just want to jump down to parish as that's a little bit easier to understand. Now, not to be too transparent with things, I am not the most hyper-religious person. So even watching this film again the other day while taking notes and generating questions and stuff, I did have to, do some research on some of the terms as they pertain to Catholicism. And so just to explain as best as I can, so a parish, as referenced in the film, is a community-oriented group of people associated with the church, and that can kind of work on two levels. It could be, the priest and the group around the priest that actually work at the church. It could also be considered the community that attends masses and things like that. But, you can argue that every church has a parish, which would be the people that work there, the people that attend. And just to give you some context, Boston, Massachusetts, where the story takes place, has a very strong root in Catholicism and the Catholic religion. So know that like the importance and significance of that religion as part of the community's identity is very, very strong. And so just if you hear that term parish, that's what it refers to. Cardinal law, on the other hand, is not a legal thing, all right? Cardinal is the position or rank within the Catholic Church, and Law happens to be this character's last name. So the character's name is Bernard Law, and by character and also person in real life. Cardinal is his position. And just to give you an idea of that hierarchy within the church, most people, if you go to church or go to Mass, you know that there's a priest, or a rabbi, or depending on your religion, there's a figurehead locally. And if we're sticking with Catholicism, and I'm not trying to single any religion out, but that's what the film is based on. Most people are familiar internationally with the Pope, right? The Pope is like the top of the food chain, right? Priests are actually down towards the bottom, but right underneath the Pope, you have cardinals. And then under them, archbishops and bishops, and then priests, and then deacons, and so on. So the reason why I'm taking time to single this person out is that when they reference cardinal law in the film, it is not a law or a legal thing. It's a person that's very high up on the food chain. Like cardinal law's boss is the Pope, and that's pretty substantial because it gives you an idea of how high on the food chain they are, but also the power that they have to everyone beneath them. And so Cardinal Law, as a character in the film, is someone who is referenced, even though that we never actually see them in person. I'm going to pause here for a second, bounce back to the chat to see if you guys have any questions. And then I'm going to go through the next three key terms for you. Ryan, wait, what do we watch it on? I'm confused. What are we doing? Okay, so the film's uploaded to Google Drive, and it's attached to the Google Classroom assignment that I've shared with you. It should be out now, but again, just don't go check it yet. I'll give you some time at the end to go look at that. I want to make sure I move through everything, and if we're reading something else, we might not be listening to what's going on. And Sarah, to answer your question, yes, this presentation is going to be on Classroom, and some of these notes I've actually integrated into the question packet for the film, and I'm going to go over that as well. Okay. And I know there's a lot of stuff here, guys. I'm moving quick because I want to keep it short for you, just so that we have time to look over stuff and you can ask me questions while we're here. But also remember that when in doubt, all right, again, my reasoning for YouTube is because you can go back and watch this video later. So if reading it on the worksheet or presentation later is just you're like, I see what you're saying and I can read it, but I don't get it, you can always go back and reference these clips on YouTube. So you can hear me go through stuff again. And while you may not want to hear me outside of class time, having them up there for you guys to reference is part of the reason why I'm doing it this way. I did Google Hangout and Zoom this morning with my morning show class, and it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. So it made me feel better about my decision to YouTube stuff out to you guys. Also because it's there for you to reference later. So we'll go through the Classroom post in a bit. I'm just going to move through the last little things here. Okay. These are more along the lines of legal terms. Okay. So early in the film, you're going to hear them reference statute of limitations. And statute of limitations is a law that says that people have a specific amount of time to pursue legal action. And that's going to vary depending on the crime, and sometimes it varies depending on the state, as criminal laws are a little bit different state to state. And so as it pertains to the film, early on they're trying to, they reference statute of limitations in regards to sexual abuse victims coming forward to pursue legal action, and they're trying to get them to do so before that statute is up. Meaning, using the film as an example, if there was a character who was abused sexually but has not pressed legal charges, there will eventually be a deadline where they can no longer come forward and pursue legal action. Yes, they can come out and say, I was abused, a year ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever that statute is, but you can't charge them. You can't sue anybody at that point. And so you're going to hear that early on, and I just wanted to clarify what that meant. Disbarred is a term that pertains to lawyers, and there are two characters in the film that are lawyers, and you may hear this come up. If you are disbarred as a lawyer, it means you are stripped of your license that legally allows you to practice law, and thus your livelihood, right? You're basically saying, all right, my profession was taken away from me. And so, lawyers, when they go through, their schooling, right, their bachelor's degree, then they'll go on to get a law degree. At the conclusion of your law degree, you are then eligible to take the bar exam. The bar exam is like the SATs for lawyers. And if you pass that bar exam, you are then eligible to get a license to practice law in the state in which you took that exam. And the disbar just means that they're taking that license away. It's a way to keep lawyers in check ethically and in regards to private information. So in the film, you may hear lawyers say that I can't tell you that information because they might be disbarred. It's very similar to, and a lot of people know through like TV shows and movies, on the medical side, if you have like doctor-patient confidentiality, right? You can go to your doctor and talk to them about an issue you're having, and they are legally not allowed to share that information with anybody else. And if you think about it, there's really nothing that could stop them from doing that outside of fear of losing their license and ability to practice. And so disbarred is a term that will come up in the film in regards to that. Corroborate would be to confirm a statement or theory, right? So if Gianna's at her lake house and I was like, that's not a good idea, maybe she's just kidding around, I could go interview Jess, and Jess would tell me, no, she's there. Jess is corroborating that statement, right? She's confirming to her knowledge that is true, and it strengthens your argument, right? If one person says something, you can go, well, I'm not really sure, but if another person says, hey, what that person said is true, okay, then that argument is strengthened. It doesn't mean it's necessarily true. It just means you can help build a case around that. All right, going to pause again to bounce back to the chat. Oh, my head is starting to hurt. Ugh. She's not kidding. Oh, no. Ugh. All right, let's move through the last little bits, and then I'll get through the classroom post and the doc just so you know what you are looking at. All right. So, like I said early on, one of my goals for this is to challenge you a little bit. All right. I know that this is a film that you would not watch normally on your own accord. Um, which is a shame because I think you're missing out on a fantastic film. Some of the other teachers I talked to, and I was like, "Oh, I'm having my TV1 classes watch Spotlight," and they were all like, "Oh my god, it's a great movie." Um, and it is, all right. But in that is it, I know it's different than things you would normally watch, and so just know that, especially early on in the film, there's going to be a lot of things that are happening that people are talking about that are not um, as explicitly clear as to what they're referring to yet. And so this is a film that builds very slowly. All right. But I think you'll find at the end when the credits roll, and please stick through the very end of the film because the statistical information and things that pop up are eye opening. And I'm actually getting goosebumps just thinking about it. And I'm not kidding because I got goosebumps when I mentioned it last class and when I watched the film the other night when I was taking notes. It's one of those things that is a little unnerving content wise. So I know it's going to challenge you. All right. But I know you guys are going to rise to that challenge. And then the second reason is it encapsulates everything that we've been doing with our unit so far on news and broadcasting and journalism. And I think you get to see an inside scoop on how this stuff comes together. I think you get to see it from the perspective of the people that put it together. All right, this is a subject matter that you will see the characters in the film struggle with mentally because it hits so close to home in so many ways for these people, but it's their duty and responsibility as journalists to report on this stuff. And so they can't not do their job, right? Um, and in that regard, I think the film just hits what it takes to be a journalist so well. I think you guys will pick up on that. So here's the kind of outlook for what this is going to be for us as far as next week goes. All right. Up on Classroom now, and I'm gonna bounce to it in a sec, so don't leave just yet. I'm going to ask that we complete the film packet that goes along with the film. And I know packet sounds very daunting, but the first 2 pages I'll explain in a sec. There's nothing to fill out. It's just info for you. We'll look over it in just a moment. All right. Now, next week is an A week, meaning I will see you guys Tuesday and Thursday, and I still want to stick with those check-in times. All right, at 12 o'clock. But the assignment won't actually be due until 1 o'clock on Friday. That's not a day that I would meet with you, okay? But I gave this to my 8A classes yesterday, and I didn't think it was fair that they got it a day earlier and it's due for them a day later. So you're going to get the assignment today. It's going to be due by 1 o'clock on Friday, all right? I do want to stick with our check-ins on Tuesday, Thursday. They might be a little bit shorter, okay? But it could just let me reset my brain. Like the last one we had, it could very well be hey, Mr. Leonard, I watched the film. I might have to go back and watch a few more scenes. I missed some questions. Cool. It might be, Mr. Leonard, I watched the first 15 minutes of this film and I was so lost, I had to stop. I'll be there to try and explain some things and talk through some things with you. I would even like to go as far to see if I can stream the film online with you folks. All right. So that way I can pause. If there are questions, I can keep an eye on the chat and answer some things there. I don't know if that's going to be a viable solution, though, as YouTube will flag it immediately. And if they shut it down, they could block my account from streaming again in the future. So I would love to do that. I just don't know if I can test the waters just yet. All right. But what that's going to look like then for Monday, which is the 6th, is that we're going to have a discussion. All right, we'll get into a stream. I'll have some questions in the chat. We'll talk about the film a little bit, and then my goal at that point is we'll have a quick check in on Wednesday of that week, but that would be the last time that I would see you guys before spring break. And so my goal from Monday into Wednesday is to either have something stupidly simple, or nothing at all, and we'll just do a quick check-in on Wednesday and head in the break, knowing that there's nothing for TV production class that you need to worry about before we get back. So you can do your best to spend time with family, lighten your workload, and kind of de-stress and stuff over that stretch of time that we're probably still going to be stuck inside and not be able to go anywhere. So yeah, that's overshot it. There it is. Okay, back here. You lost your sense of taste. I would call the doctor. In all seriousness, loss of taste is usually tethered to loss of smell. If you have a scented candle, smell it. If you can smell it, you're probably okay. But I would make a phone call and consider, see what they have to say. But if you're like being serious about that, yeah, you need to call before you just kind of show up for a test. Okay. Does anybody? I'm not trying to take away from the seriousness of that, Gianna. I just want to make sure we're moving through stuff. So if people need to go or want to get started, they can. Does anyone have any questions on that presentation before I bounce very quickly to the classroom post? Gianna, that link is for you. Chris, interesting information. Are you saying that because I'm probably exhaling directly into the microphone consistently? If so, I picked up your hint, and I will try better to not do that, I suppose. And yeah, Gianna, call your doctor. Dan, so yes, this is going to be the only assignment for next week. But again, let me just quickly explain or re-explain my rationale. The film itself is 2 hours, all right, which is a large chunk of time. And my one piece of advice would be you want to sit down and watch this, for lack of a better word, academically. Like you want to sit down with the film open in one tab and maybe the document open in another tab, so that you can pause if you need to go over and answer a question. I wouldn't take the mindset of, oh, I'm going to crawl into bed, I'll just throw this movie on and then answer the questions tomorrow. I do not think that is the right way to go about this. So part of the reason for the extended time was you can now say, okay, and I would even do this before the weekend starts. I wouldn't watch it and take notes unless you got nothing going on tonight, but do it. I would by the end of our class time, I would say, okay, what's going on in my other classes next week, and when's the best time to fit this in? And then I would make a point to say, okay, if it's Tuesday afternoon, heading into next week, okay, Tuesday afternoon, that's when I'm doing this. Like I would be really smart about mapping out when you want to do that. If you guys just try and squeeze it in when you think you're going to have a moment, I think you're going to find that it becomes really difficult. So pick a time and then like schedule it for yourself. And hey, if you want to, if your family's hanging out this weekend and you're arguing over what to watch as a family, you can go, hey, everyone, Mr. Leonard assigned this movie about reporters investigating sexual abuse scandals in the Catholic Church. That's appropriate. Let's watch it as a family. And then I can answer emails as to why I assigned such I don't want to say dreadful, it's a great movie, a movie with such terrible content. I'm gonna shrug to that. I think it's worthwhile, and like I said, I think your maturity, you guys can handle that, right? It is rated R. There is going to be some language and sexual terms that come up. I think you're fine. All right, Sarah, reach out to your teachers and find out. It's not going to hurt to double check. All right. All right. So just to bounce real quick. But stream was updated as it should be. All right, just to show you folks here. Okay, that's my end. We want the instructions. Thank you. Okay, so and Dan, I hope that answers your question. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to tail off there, but I do hope that answers your question. These are the things that are attached. All right, so the PowerPoint that I went over, those slides, all right, are going to be here for you guys, so you have this as reference. Okay, the film, of course, is also there as well. All right, there shouldn't be any issues playing this back. I tried my best to make sure the quality was really high and everything. So you should be good. All right, but if there's an issue, let me know. Of course, I can try and get it to you a different way. And then the actual follow along document as well, I have open here already. So at the top of that, just to run through this quickly for you. I have the terms from that PowerPoint right up top here. I figured, you know what, let's get them in the same doc, and that way you're not bouncing back and forth between so many things. If you need to reference something, boom, there it is. All right, I also went ahead and I made a character chart for you just as reference. I thought this could be helpful, all right, as you're going to recognize a face probably before you recognize their name. And so if you're like, oh, that one character said something, and I don't remember which character it was, you have these are all stills or like promotional things from the movie. So like they're going to look the way they do in these images. I figured that would be a good way to have you can reference the names and faces if you need to. I thought that might be helpful, so I took the time to put that together for you. All right, the questions are down below. All right, the first series of questions, okay, are about the film, and some of them are there to check to make sure that you're watching and paying attention, and some of them are a little bit more, hey, why do you think a character did this? But what I want you to know about this series of questions, all right, 1 through 18, is that they go in order of the film, okay? And so if you find yourself, down towards the bottom here, and question 13, they're talking about sick leave, and you'll see what that means in the film. But if you have an answer to this question and you missed questions 10, 11, and 12, all right, they probably came up before this question came up in the film, and you might need to go back a little bit. So my advice would just be, hey, if I'm answering question 1, pause that film, type out that answer, press play, and press on. And that way, if you find that you skipped some questions, it might be that you missed the information you needed to answer those. Okay. Down at the bottom are some discussion questions. These are going to be for after the film. And what I would recommend, is to kind of space this out. I would move through the film while answering these questions and say, okay, that's enough for today. I might answer the discussion questions like a little bit later. Give yourself a break. Don't feel like you need to plow through this in one sitting. This would be the time where you can pause and come back and answer these. All right, these are going to require a little bit more depth. These are more your opinions, thoughts, feelings on the film and some of the stuff that we saw. All right, but these questions are pretty self-explanatory. I would make sure that you read through these questions right before you sit down to watch the film. Okay, just so you kind of know what to anticipate. If you just press play and hope to go down one by one, it might be a little bit more challenging. I would kind of scan this and make sure that you're good before just pressing play and hoping to wing it. All right. Exhaling to the side. I think a majority of us are used. Oh, no, I know you are. Absolutely. I know you are. All right. But I always look at it as, is it irresponsible for me to assign an R-rated movie, which is meant for people 17 and older, to a class of mostly freshmen and sophomores who are not near 17 years old? That's all. That's that part. But I also will say that I'm going to look the other way on that, because I think this is an important film. And I think it's going to be eye-opening for a lot of you. And I'm hoping you enjoy it. I really do. I also want to say as well, a little off topic that you guys are holding the record of the most consistently um, concurrent viewing class. All right, there are 16 of us here together, and you guys are holding the record each and every day. And I want to thank you all for being here. It really does mean a lot. Like to do this for 43 minutes and have 5 people show up. It sucks, but that's, I'm trying to make the things as easy as possible for everybody. So, oh, Chris, all right, you're good. Well, I mean, April 5th is after the due date, so I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be fine. Like, this is definitely a film where if your parents saw over your shoulder, there's not a single scene in this film where they would be like, wait a minute, that's not appropriate. What are you watching? Right? They might ask what you're watching because they're curious, because they're watching you watch something you might not have never ever made a point to see before. But there's nothing that you're going to see that is going to, make you go the other way, look the other way. So, all right, we'll put a bow on today's class. Does anyone here, if you want to take a look at that classroom post, just make sure everything's working for you. If you have questions, I'm going to hang out for a little bit. I'm here to answer those questions. We'll check in on Tuesday, Thursday, all right, do Friday. And of course, if there is any time between now and Tuesday that you sit down to do something, have some issues, have some questions, email me, all right? I've been pretty good about getting back to folks on email as quickly as I can. There are going to be times of the day where hey, Mr. Leonard's going for a walk and he's gone and leaving his phone home for like an hour or two. I just need to, have that time. But I'll do my best to get back to you as quickly as possible, because I want to make sure if you got a question that waiting on an answer from me doesn't, hold you up from doing my work or snowball into work for other classes. So, yeah. Okay, I'm going to breathe for a second, as I've been talking quite a bit. Has anyone contacted you, Jays, recently? No. Why? You know what? I'm going to get a glass of water. I'll be right back. Oh, no. Oh, wait, it says reconnection success. Not, okay, go eat some food. It's lunchtime. My academic status has been what? Well, isn't that fantastic? All right, and we're back. Matt, I swear to God, if you call me Mr. Cable one more time, I'm going to start to drop your grade so fast. I'm not Mr. Cable. All right, Gianna, I need you to do me a favor and go talk to your parents about this, and also make a phone call or two to a doctor or who you need to, because you don't want to sleep on something potentially being wrong. And you don't want to not eat as well. I know you can't taste, but the less you eat, your weaker your body gets, and the weaker it becomes at fighting diseases. So you might not be able to taste what you're eating, but you need to eat something because your body still needs those nutrients. Sarah, I'm going to take that as a because you didn't have me freshman year, but I am going to I'm going to send that to Mr. Cable. I'm going to let him know. I'm going to let him know right now, actually. Because Mr. Cable is a really cool dude. I don't know who Shelly is, but cool. Straight hundos in cables class. That's awesome. Oh, Gianna's mom. Okay. Oh, I'm trying to stay hydrated. A fat nap? No, only after you eat something. That's your assignment, Ryan. Extra assignment. You have to eat before you nap. Something healthy. Laying down the law. All right, gang. I'm going to end the stream soon in about a minute or two. All right. So if you have any last minute questions on stuff, you can drop them here. And otherwise, we're going to conclude so you can get on with your weekend and map out when you're going to find time for this assignment. And then we'll chat again on Tuesday. Ooh, mac and cheese sounds good. Yeah, I'm starting to get hungry. Guys, no, eating is not for wimps. Eating makes you a wimp, or not eating makes you a wimp because your body needs to grow. God, dang it. You have no idea how much I wish I can eat as much as you guys can eat right now and not have it show anywhere on my body. Yes, the home news thing was due by the start of class today. So unless you didn't do it and you're going to turn it in late for half credit, then as of now, that is done. We are done with that. Eating is my entire life always. Well, that's the thing, right? That's the challenge, Chris, is that when you're bored and you want a snack, I was always told ask yourself if, like, offer yourself healthy food. Like, if you don't want an apple or a banana, then you're not really hungry, you're just bored. Jess, way to rock and roll. Oh, it's hard to work out at home. That's why I'm going for walks every day. No, 4-hour naps are not good. No. You guys. You're taking 4-hour naps. When are you doing your schoolwork? I do not condone this behavior. Eat food, be healthy, exercise how you can, get your work done, repeat. I'm going to go for a walk right after this. "2:30 a.m." Dang. Well, as long as it's getting done. I mean, obviously, and it's good. Like, you want to do your work well. Ugh. No, it's not good for your body, Jess. It's not healthy. Go for a run. Go for a walk. Go play in the yard. Go toss a ball. Go do push ups. Go take out chalk and paint or chalk your whole driveway. Do dances. Learn a recipe. Cook stuff. Play board games. Do a puzzle. Coloring books. Well, that's part of sticking with the schedule. Go to sleep by your normal time so you wake up at your normal time and then you can move through your day like you normally would. That gets boring. Jess, I listed like 30 things. You guys are hurting my heart right now. Cool. Dye your hair purple. Do it. Why not? For my consideration. You know what? Shave your head. Be a trendsetter. Don't do that. I'm just kidding. All right, gang. If I'm being truthfully honest, my head is pounding right now, and I need to get away from my set lights and computer screen. I love your chatter. I look forward to it every day. I really do. But I'm gonna wrap this up now. Um, if you sit down to do some work over the weekend, email me with questions. We'll meet again on Tuesday, due on Friday by 1 o'clock. And enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your time. All right. I will see you on Tuesday. All right. Be well, be happy, be healthy.